Hello, Texas Realtors. This is Marvin Jolly, your 2021 Chairman of the Board. Welcome to another edition of Pass the Mic. With us today is our President and CEO, Travis Kessler, along with our special guest, Ryan Weyandt, CEO of the LGBTQ Real Estate Alliance. Ryan, welcome.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here. Obviously, we have a passion and an appreciation for the great state of Texas. It's great of Marvin, you and Travis, Tiffany Wu to invite us out this morning to have a great discussion. I look forward to it.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to ask you a couple questions, and then Travis has a few questions for you as well. So, Ryan, the RE Alliance was formed just earlier this year and already has 4 chapters within Texas. Tell us a little more about the organization and how it's different from other LGBTQ industry groups.
Yeah, Marvin, great question. So, we had the blessing of porting over an existing chapter program from a former organization, which really gave us the advantage in getting off the ground locally and nationally. So as you say, we do have 4 operating chapters currently in the state of Texas: San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, and Austin, Texas are the chapters that are up and running. Obviously, big real estate strongholds too. We rely on the chapter program for membership, and that's really what it's all about. Our national program is only as strong as the chapters are individually. So a lot of focus, a lot of thought has gone into planning these chapters to make sure that they're growing, that they're cultivating community, philanthropy, also networking and professional development and education on a local level. So it really falls down to the chapters to make sure that this organization succeeds. We have a great governance board in place that is elected by the general membership. We hold elections annually at the national conference, which moves around. It's actually going to be in Vegas. Our inaugural is going to be in Vegas in September, so we're excited about that. But it is a legitimately voted in. We have a board of trustees that governs the business organization, and then we have a chapter delegate board that governs the membership program, and those are the elected officers. We abide by the same 13 regions that NAR does. So we have a delegate from each region that composes that board. And then we have a national president, vice president, treasurer, and secretary. So the governance is pretty complex compared to some of the other LGBTQ organizations. The other big thing out there is that we are a 501c6 organization. So much like your boards and NAR itself, we are a legitimate member organization as opposed to a charity. That comes with some great advantages. We have a great platform for lobbying in Washington, obviously, with housing equality, but it comes with some disadvantages too. I can't get listed on Facebook for donations, unfortunately. But there are some dramatic changes philosophically just in how the programs are run, the transparency and the governance. We are excited to be here. We officially open the doors on October 1st. So if you can think about that, in about 2 months, we've cultivated about 500 members. We have a fully functioning chapter program in 52 locations right now.
It seems like there's a void in educational material serving the LGBTQ community. How is the Alliance helping to resolve that?
Yeah, well, that's the truth. And in fact, I would say that there's a void of information for the community in general. It's not tracked on a federal level. And up until this year with the census, it wasn't tracked for a populace level either. And I should preface by saying that it's only tracked now as far as indicating if you're residing with a same-sex partner in your house. So it still doesn't gauge numbers overall in the population of what the community as a whole looks like. You look at HMDA information on lending applications, and obviously it identifies birth gender on the application. However, it's interesting for our transgender community when you're in that position where your driver's license may say one thing and your documents say another at closing, and your closing agent doesn't know how to work with that. There are no rules in place or governance from the federal government on how to handle that, unfortunately. In 27 states in this country, it's still legal to discriminate in housing, rent, and financing against the LGBTQ community. So if a buyer or a seller, rather, decides that they don't want to sell their home to me and my husband, they legally reserve the right not to do that, unfortunately. Money is green, as I say. So it's a poor business move, in my opinion. Education is key, though. You're absolutely right, which is why we're actually in the process of designing and rolling out a national CE curriculum designed at straight realtors, so folks who are not part of the community, to identify them as allies if they do advocate for fair and equal housing, if they do believe in equal rights extended to our community. A lot of folks don't know that the term ally exists. So half the battle is just to identify that. But it's a 2.5-hour program. It's going to be a comprehensive look at the experience of several different sectors of the LGBTQ community going through the home buying process and how they're impacted through that. So we're really excited about it. It's going to play on some heartstrings. Obviously, we're not looking for sympathy, but empathy, obviously. In communication with NAR right now about possible diversity credit for that as well. So big development. We're excited. We're launching in the state of Ohio, actually. We've already opened the gates there. So.
Well, Ryan, you touched upon this in your education focus, but could you elaborate a little bit more on this? And that is that the LGBTQ plus homeownership rates are below the national average. So what are some of those challenges that you face in the marketplace? And how can our organization as Texas Realtors be a partner with the Alliance chapters?
Yeah, Travis. Well, obviously realtors know better than anyone. There are two major things in establishing a community or home ownership. It's job security and a relationship. Those two factors primarily determine if you're going to live more of a transient lifestyle. Maybe you want to be in a condo downtown by yourself or renting so you can hop around or move, around the metro every couple of years. But we have statistics that show from the NGLCC that if you have a stable career and you're in a committed relationship, home ownership rates rise. So in the last 5 years, our community has had legal protections started to be enacted into law on the Supreme Court level. Obviously, it is now illegal for employers to discriminate just based on sexual preference or identity. It wasn't before that. You could be fired for having a picture of your same-sex spouse on your desk if your boss decided. So that provided a sense of security, job security, and knowing that, I'm not going to be arbitrarily fired for something that I can't control. The other part of that, obviously, is relationships. And with, I cringe at gay marriage, but as marriage is now a universal right, we have seen home ownership rates rise in the LGBTQ community just based on that fact. So I think the factors are definitely going the right way. I think when we see equal protections further extended into civil rights laws for the community, I think we're probably going to start to even it out a little bit. The other thing that I'd be interested to have this discussion again in a year, this experience of the pandemic has opened a lot of eyes, and being confined to 600 square feet in a downtown high rise isn't as attractive as it once was. So folks are starting to look at the suburbs, starting to look at more residential neighborhood now. And I think you're going to find that in our population as well. I think home ownership rates will continue to rise. Why they're down right now is it's a combination of factors. A lot of that is discriminatory based or personal feelings of what perception might be going through the process, fear of facing discrimination in the process. I believe during the next 4 years, a lot of that's going to be worked out legislatively.
So Ryan, I understand that the Alliance has a membership directory and it acts as a safe space for the LGBTQ plus consumers to find supportive real estate professionals.
Yeah.
How can our members be an ally for this community in their everyday practice?
Yeah, well, allyship, that is a whole conversation in itself, but there has been no civil rights movement that has been successful without the appreciation and the participation of an allied community. So that being, the choir can't just sing to itself. You don't get anywhere. Allies in our community are everything, because obviously you may not agree with gay marriage, for example, but you don't have to get gay married then. Just because something is there and you don't understand it, education provides a great opportunity, even if you haven't experienced, to try and walk in those shoes. I think the community in general can understand that it is 2020, that we as a nation have gone through a very turbulent, I would say 6 years, politically and socially, and there's a lot of fear out there right now, but understanding that everyone is the same basic human at heart, that we all are made of the same genetics and DNA. And I think essentially we all want the same things for ourselves and our family. Treating your clients like they are just another client, regardless of how they appear. It's really common courtesies, basic business practices that any Business 101 course would teach you. Treat clients as clients and community as community.
Ryan, thank you for your role as the CEO of the Alliance, and we certainly wish you well. On behalf of Texas Realtors, it's a pleasure to meet you, understand more about the goals and the initiatives of the Alliance, and we look forward to being a great partner with you as Texas Realtors.
Marvin, Travis, I appreciate your time. Thank you again, and look forward to talking again soon in the future.